Hey, everybody. Welcome to July. We are now through the halfway part of 2025, and we're entering into the second half of the year. And we're back for the animal messages for this first month in the second half of 2025, and to hear how the animals are continuing to work with us through this year. As you may remember, the whole entire year, the theme for the whole entire year, and even the theme for the first month was faith. And how can they help us find our own true faith, whatever that means? There wasn't a religious overtone or anything like that, but it was more of like finding our own trust in ourselves, our own faith in ourselves, our own faith in our community, our own faith in all that is, and our own faith in the animals, because of course this is called Trust the Animals. So still working with that overarching theme. I was actually walking with Lucas in the nature preserve just the other day and conversing with him and the deer and the butterfly and the wildflowers that are just blooming and amazing and the trees, everything around me in the moment. And I was just asking, okay, so July's coming, what do we need to, where do you want us to go with July? Knowing that June was curious, knowing that we've had intolerance as a message so far this year. We've had a couple different messages, all in an effort to work with us in finding faith, in working and understanding our own authentic selves, understanding those negative or false beliefs or narratives that we tell ourselves. The animals are helping us peel all those back so that we can become who we truly are meant to be, which is connected to ourselves, connected to everything, and connected to the divine, right? Reestablishing these connections, which is what faith also lets us do. So as I was walking with Lucas and conversing with him and conversing with everything around us, because there's a lot of wildlife, a lot of life around us, I was asking, so what is it that you're looking for us to do? And Lucas said, just walk with me, be with me. The grasses, because there's all these different types of grasses out there, were like, just be with us, watch with us, enjoy the sun with us. It became all of these options of with. And I'm like, well, with's a preposition. Like, can we really do a preposition? And they're like, language is a human construct, like with, be with, in the with. So with is the animal's message for July. And since they've given that message to me, as Lucas sneezes behind behind me, as I've been with that and just kind of noticing where all they're asking us to go, there is a sense of being with ourselves, being really understanding our emotions, our feelings, and where we currently are in any given moment. And that has been so true for me these last couple of weeks. I don't know how you all feel. I'd be curious to hear. For me, the energy has been really heavy. Now, for me though, Cancer is my 12th, rules my 12th house. Jupiter just moved into Cancer. My natal Jupiter is in Cancer. So there's a whole lot going on. Plus, Saturn is in my natal Aries, and Saturn's in Aries. It is my Saturn return this next 2.5, 3 year period. There's a lot going on. Plus, as many of you know, I'm 10 months ago, my father passed. So, working through a lot of grief. There's been a lot going on. And the last couple of weeks in particular, especially if you look at what's going on in the collective, the energy for me has felt really, really heavy. When I've talked with the community that I'm a part of within Danielle McKinnon's community, many people have been feeling it too. The astrologers I follow have been feeling it too. A lot of women in particular are feeling it too. Carrie Kenny, the person that I do pet loss grief, sent me an article the other day about it. It's actually really affecting people who are identifying as female right now. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, and being with, and also honoring what the animals are telling us with being with those feelings and understanding what's going on for me, what's coming up for me. How can I work with that? How can Lucas help me walk with him and walk it out? Sit with him and be with it. Allow me to be with him and allow him to comfort me or comfort him if there's a thunderstorm. But this sense of with, like being really with someone, something else, including your own feelings, is a huge deal. And the animals are really trying to get us to understand this with. The other aspect of with, though, particularly as I mentioned, like the community that I'm a part of with Danielle's, plus this community here, is when I express how I'm feeling or what Lucas is sharing with me, that creates a with, right? Because you may read it, you may watch this video and you think, yeah, this makes sense to me, or wow, I have a question there, or boy, that brings up something there. You and I now have a with, as well as your own animals have a with within this. So it's like it begins to build, right? So there's the connection to myself, there's the connection to the community or the collective. And then ultimately, too, because I'm working on my own self and I'm working on with the animals and all that is, I begin to have a greater connection with the divine. So you can see how with a mere preposition becomes something so incredibly strong. So with, how are the animals asking you, inviting you to work with them? And what are they doing even to reflect behaviors that you may have yourself, some protective behaviors in the soul level intuitive coaching work that I do? We call it workaround behavior. So we're working around the things that cause us pain or suffering or grief. What are those that's coming up for us? What's your animal showing to you that makes you go, I don't really like that, but why is it that I really don't like that? How can I work with that? So with is the message for this month. And I have a feeling that there may be a lot of with that comes up for you, with particularly that your animal's going to show you, whether if they're alive, maybe what is it about, going to the bathroom outside of the litter box? What is that bringing up for you? How can you work with them to understand what's coming up for you as far as that goes, as well as what is it that they're asking you to do with them so that they use the litter box again? Like, just because their behavior is outside of you doesn't mean it's not doing something to impact you, so that you have an opportunity to dive a little bit deeper. So with, and even if your animal is in spirit, they continue to do things and invite you to work with them in certain ways. They may be sending you butterflies. They may be sending songs across your radio or your smart device, whatever it may be, for you to think about something, which is their invitation to think about it, understand it, honor them, possibly. There's a variety of different things, right? So with, how are the animals asking you to work with them, with yourself, with the divine, with your community? With. I can't wait to hear how things go for you. And to keep that front and center, if you are a paid subscriber, the Animal Messages monthly meetup for July is on, I'm just checking my notes, is July 15th at noon Eastern. So if you're a paid subscriber, a couple days before that, you'll get the Zoom link and I'll send a couple reminders. But we'll meet up on the 15th of July at noon, and I will connect with your animals. If there's a ton of people there, I might not get to everybody, but as many as I can, I will get to you and your animal, and we'll ask them, how are you working with your human this month with and we'll see what they have to say. When we did that last month on Curious, it was actually pretty cool. I personally thought it was cool. I have a feeling everybody that was there thought it was cool too. But anyways, it was just really interesting how the animals were showing people how to be curious, and then also kind of finding what that curiosity would lead them to. It was really interesting. The other thing to be mindful of too for July that I'm also doing is I'm working with Anna Marie Ellison. We've developed this really cool program for grief. You may or may not know this, but I have been working on the last 4 months to obtain a certification in trauma-informed grief coaching. And I'm actually graduating here in just a couple weeks. And with that, and knowing that when my father passed, I just kept hearing in my head, go to the horses, because I'd worked with Anna Marie's herd before. Really, really phenomenal changes and growth for me there. And I was told to go back to the horses, which I did. And from that, we've now created a 4-part online series to help anybody and anyone working with grief, whether it's pet loss grief, whether it's parent loss, whether it's spouse loss. And Anna Marie comes at this from from the loss of her husband. So we've got some different things, career loss, marriage loss, whatever it may be, where it's a 4-part online series to help you move through the grief in a way that also uses the wisdom of horses. So Anna Marie's herd is present at every session so that we can work with their energy, if you will, work with them to do that healing too. So we're having on July 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern, we're hosting a free webinar that you can learn more about this really cool and unique program that we're launching in August. But July 16th at 7 p.m., you can sign up for the free webinar. The information is below, and you can meet the horses and you can hear much more about what this 4-part online series with an optional all-day retreat is all about. And then the other thing I just want to call your attention to for July, another opportunity to work with your animals, is July 25th through 27th at the, I just had to make sure I got the dates right, at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. Danielle McKinnon is hosting her amazing weekend workshop to get you started in connecting with your animals, whether they're alive or in spirit. It is the workshop that I did 6 years ago. I flew all the way from Anchorage to Rhinebeck to be able to participate. My leg was still healing after Lucas had broken it the January prior, and it was phenomenal. Not only did I meet Danielle for the first time, but I also met my podcast co-host, Karen Dendy Smith, as well as several other of Danielle's CPPs. I met them too. And it opened up a whole new world for me. So if you are available that weekend, if you can make it to Rhinebeck, New York, to the Omega Institute, I promise you will not be disappointed. It is an amazing, magical time to work with the animals, with all of us, and with each other that will be there. It'll be great. So 3 key things this month. We've got July 15th for the meetup at noon. We've got July 16th at 7 p.m. for the horses. And then we've got the Omega Institute weekend with Danielle McKinnon, July 25th through 27th. And last but not least, all this month, there are going to be some amazing podcast guests on the podcast, the Animal Communication Podcast that I co-host with Karen and Meredith. We've got some really cool guests lined up that also dive a little bit deeper into spirituality, into connecting, into being with nature, being with all that is. And I cannot wait for these conversations, and I can't wait to share them with you. So with the animal messages for July, please let me know how this works out for you. I hope you're able to attend any and all of these events that I can see and work with you as well soon. I hope you have a great July. Let me know how it goes. Take really good care.